Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's fall webinar. We're excited to have you with us. And today we'll be talking about digital identity made easy with verifiable credentials. We'll start off with some introductions. We'll be talking about the basics of verifiable credentials, and especially for those that are maybe new to this technology or new to this industry, we'll talk about what this technology is, how it works, and some of the basics. We'll also be having a demonstration today from our very own Mike Ebert, who will be showing account credentials in action in a banking use case. After that, we'll be talking about various use cases and how verifiable credentials are being applied in different industries. And then we'll do a little deeper dive into Indicio Proven, which is our off-the-shelf product to get started with verifiable credentials. We'll have a Q&A portion at the end. And obviously afterwards, please feel free to reach out and contact us. So by way of introduction, we've got David Jones, our Director of Customer Success on the call. We have myself, James Schulte, VP of Business Development, and then we've got Mike Ebert, who is our Director of Software Engineering. So a little bit about Indicio. As I was mentioned, our product Proven is a complete ecosystem for verifiable credentials. Everything that an enterprise, an organization, a government could need to start creating, issuing, holding, and verifying digital credentials. Our expertise in this space, we're some of the leaders with this technology, have been involved since the early days and are very much involved in the open source bodies and standards groups that have helped really drive the space forward. Our technology that we build is compliant with open standards for things like interoperability, for compliance. The technology that we create is flexible to meet global regulations such as GDPR, HIPAA, other data privacy laws. Everything that we build and develop is focused on privacy preservation and privacy by design and zero trust principles. We do enterprise deployments around the globe with our partners and with our customers and a wide array of industries. And we've been recognized with awards for the innovation that we and our partners have done. For example, recently in the 2024 Gartner report for the Market Guide for Decentralized Identity, we've been recognized as one of the representative vendors for decentralized identity. Also won a Supernova Award for a project that we did with verifiable credentials, as well as the European Identity and Cloud Conference Award for verifiable credentials and decentralized identity. So we're very proud of the work that we do, and we're happy that we and our partners can be recognized for that. All right, so first, a little overview of verifiable credentials. At its core, a verifiable credential is a digital credential that contains data that can be cryptographically verified. You can think of it like a container that can seal any type of digital information. And because of the cryptography, you can always know the source of the container. You can't alter the contents within the container without breaking the seal of the container. So if you trust the source, you can trust the contents. And this makes it possible for information to be shared from the container in privacy-preserving ways. So it's really a secure transport mechanism for any sort of digital information and data. So some of the value of verifiable credentials, and this is what we hear from our in-field experience talking with our clients and customers that are actually using this in deployment. First and foremost, it being lightning fast. When you have verifiable data, it means that you have immediately actionable data. Because the process of verification or authentication has already been performed, and you're receiving data that is trustworthy from a trustworthy source, you can immediately act upon that data without having to go through additional steps or redo steps or go through redundant processes. So it eliminates a lot of extra levels of friction and reduces the amount of time to perform XYZ transaction afterwards. On the fraud reduction front, again, because you can verify the source and the integrity of the data, it reduces the amount of fraud that would take place. Increased efficiency. One thing that we found is that it reduces the amount of direct integrations that enterprises or the participants within an ecosystem need. And because you don't need those direct integrations, and because you have that secure data transport mechanism, it reduces a lot of effort of setup and maintenance of those integrations. And fourth, the privacy preservation aspect, the ability to enable users to protect their data, uh, retain their privacy, as well as eliminate liability on the part of the verifiers and organizations that would rely on the data that they're verifying. So on both sides of the equation, privacy preservation is a value add. So here's a quick overview of our flagship product, Proven. As David mentioned, it's our out-of-the-box solution that makes it possible for organizations to create credentials, issue credentials, and verify credentials. And then for users, gives them the mechanisms to hold and present and have their credentials verified for the business transactions that they're entering into. We'll talk a little bit more about this later. But first, we're going to see a demonstration from Mike Ebert of a form of reusable KYC, as well as customer ID and account credentials. I'll give a quick overview here of how this looks using Indicio Proven and what you're about to see in this demonstration. So high-level overview, we have the issuing organization over here on the left. This is represented by Mountain Banking, a banking institution that will be using an Indicio Proven issuer agent to create a credential, a customer account credential, as well as a customer KYC credential. And they'll be doing that based off of an external reference. And in this case, it'll be a driver's license as an example. That credential will then be issued to the holder agent's wallet on a mobile device. So you'll see how Mike will have that credential on his phone, and we'll see how he can present that credential back to Mountain Banking to be verified to access their account with their account credential. We'll also see how Mike will use that KYC credential issued from the bank, because the bank has verified that they're a trustworthy customer and have gone through the required KYC or know your customer process. And we'll see how he can share that credential with a third party that would verify that credential as part of the onboarding process to take up an insurance policy. So an example of how a credential will work in a closed ecosystem where the issuer is the verifier, and also how a credential can be verified by an external party. The beauty of verifiable credentials is it has that ecosystem effect, and we'll see that in the demonstration. So quick overview of the images you're about to see on screen. Step one, we're going to see how a customer will use their mobile device with the mobile or the digital wallet to connect to the Mountain Banking website to create an account and receive a account credential. And then we're going to see how that customer will present their identity credentials and send their KYC data to the bank. Step three, we'll see how the bank administrator on the back end would validate the KYC data and issue the customer a verifiable account credential. And in these steps, we're going to see it done manually for the sake of demonstration. In a real life deployment, this would be automated on the back end, acting with existing infrastructure from a client. So it would be instantaneous, but for sake of demonstration, showing the credential creation process. So as mentioned, we're going to see how a customer will use their verifiable account credential to log into their account. And then we'll see how they use their KYC credential to connect to that third party, the insurance agency. And then we'll see them get access to the special offers as an example. All right, I'll hand over to Mike to show us walk us through the demonstration.
All right, thanks, James. So James did a great job introducing our demo today, but I'll describe a little bit about what's going on here. So on the left side of the screen is the Mountain Banking website, and it is integrated behind the scenes through an API to Indicio Proven. And on the right, we have Holder Plus, which is a mobile agent software, an application that you have on your phone. And we've pre-configured this for Sarah Ann Doe. And she's done the work to get her driver's license credential, probably from the DMV or from an entity that can take driver's licenses, verify their data, and then issue that as a verifiable credential. So she's got her driver's license and she's prepared to start working with Mountain Banking. And she wants to create an account. And the typical process for creating an account, there's often a minimum level of know your customer work that you need to do. The base level for know your customer is 4 different fields. You have to have an ID number, you have to have your name, you have to have your date of birth, and then proof of your address. And a driver's license happens to contain all of those. And so it's a perfect credential to get started. So she's scanned the QR code here to connect. And now Mountain Banking's system is asking Sarah to provide her driver's license. And this is standard. You have to show your driver's license in all sorts of situations, on and offline. And so she's happy to share her driver's license to get this process moving. And now that she's shared the credential, the as soon as that sharing is complete, the Mountain Banking systems will have that available on the back end. And the data about her driver's license and her application to create an account will show up on the back end. And then the bank administrators can review that information and approve her request. And so we're going to see, we're going to switch over to the Proven admin here and show the manual flow for approval here. So we're gonna, go into Sarah's credential, presentation here, and we have the option to issue a bank account credential. And like was mentioned, this is manual today, but the data flows would be automated and integrated with the actual backend systems. So once the bank personnel have received her driver's license credential in her application, and they know who she is well enough to issue an account, they'll issue Sarah this banking account credential. And so now she can prove she can come back to Mountain Banking and say, yes, it's the same person that you gave this credential to before. She can prove that she's a customer and within the bank, and then also to any external party that is interested in her membership at the bank, and with whom she wishes to share that data. So the other thing that would happen here is, let's say that now that Sarah Ann Doe has an account, she wants to apply for a mortgage. Well, a mortgage has a higher bar of KYC that has to be cleared in order for the bank to approve that process versus just opening an account. So the more in detail information about a credential, so we're showing the issuance of the credential here, but that could include information about, like, say, her employment, her credit score, is she on any blacklists? Does she have a criminal history? After the bank has reviewed that information, then they're going to issue a KYC credential to Sarah to say, yes, you've passed the higher standard or bar here that needs to be cleared. And so now that she's got these 2 credentials, a bank account credential and that proves she has an account and has passed that minimum standard, and a KYC credential that means she's passed a higher standard, we can show how those can be used. So for example, the bank account credential can be used with the website to log in. So the website says, please connect with your account credential, same way with a QR code. And so that this gets to be a familiar pattern. So Sarah's going to scan the QR code to connect. And this is a different connection and request than establishing an account. So instead of asking for the driver's license, this process is going to ask Sarah for her account credential. And now that she has this account credential, she can share that with the bank. The bank can use the cryptography related to the credential to say, yep, she still has the credential that we issued to her. It's not been tampered with. We're sure that it's her, and we're going to let her into her account and view her balance and do other account-based operations. So that shows how you can use an account credential for login, and then you can imagine other uses within the bank systems. Like, say, for example, interacting with customer support. You could share your account credential with the support representatives so that they know that you are indeed an account holder and you're not wasting their time. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to show how the credentials can be used with an outside party. So let's say that Mountain Banking has a partnership with an insurance company. We're going to call it Triple Check Insurance. And there are incentives for the bank, the insurance company, and the individual to have this partnership. So the bank can offer an additional service, can work out a discount with the insurance provider, and can make the process of applying for insurance easier, thus making their customers happier. And they can have a financial agreement, perhaps with the insurance company for a small kickback for those extra contracts the insurance company wins. So there's a financial incentive. For the insurance company, they have a source, a revenue stream coming from new customers, and Mountain Banking has taken care of the expensive and sometimes frustrating KYC process for them. You can reuse that process. It's trustworthy as long as the credential's intact. And so why go through KYC steps over and over and over again? Let's verify the data and make it reusable. And then finally, for the customer, they don't have to go through the process of providing all their information to various parties over and over, to the Mountain Banking departments or to their partners or whomever they want to share their KYC credential with. And because of the partnerships in place, they may get a discount. So discounts are good, saving money is good, reducing frustration and friction is good. So we're in a good position to have a mutually beneficial relationship for all of the parties involved. So we're going to go demonstrate how this third party can utilize the credential from Mountain Banking. So Sarah can scan the QR code just like the other processes to connect to the agent that backs the Triple Check Insurance website. And so Sarah connects, and Triple Check Insurance, they have the option to select which credential is requested. So that's a manual step on the screen here that shows that they can choose which credential to select and ask for. Once they ask for this credential, Sarah will receive the request, this time from Triple Check Insurance, for the KYC credential. So Sarah can look at this request and say, yep, I'm happy to share my information with the insurance company because I'm excited to make this process of getting insurance. Let's say she got her mortgage and now she wants to get home insurance. I'm excited to do my home insurance process using the same credentials and information that I used for the mortgage application. I can do that for my home insurance. And once she shares that credential, Triple Check Insurance receives the data that they've asked for and that Sarah's consented to share on the back end. And it could be all of the data, or it could be a subset of that KYC data that they need for their application process. And so, as James introduced and as we've shown here, Mountain Banking can review the data, make sure that it's valid, issue it in a reusable form, and then the customer can use those credentials within the Mountain Banking departments or with the third-party partners and providers that can provide additional services. And so there are lots of benefits and extra speed and convenience for using the verifiable credentials that Mountain Banking has created. I think that's a good demo there, and we can turn the time back to James.
All right. Thank you, Mike. Let me go to the next slide here. All right. Yeah, thank you, Mike, for showing that. That was an example of Indicio Proven in action, showing how an issuer agent can be used to issue different type of credentials, how they can be verified by in a closed ecosystem or an open ecosystem. And now I want to talk about real life examples of how customers are implementing Proven and solving real business challenges. So one that we're really excited about is in the digital travel sector. Obviously, there's a lot of need for verifiable data, specifically verifiable identity in travel. As you know, you obviously need travel documents to get on a plane, to cross a border, those types of things. In this case, verifiable credentials make it possible for governments to request advanced approval across a border, using biometric information of the passenger that will be traveling. So using verifiable credentials as the secure data transport mechanism, passengers can receive a digital travel credential or trusted traveler credential as well, and share that with the destination country, their border control, customs and border control ahead of time, so that when they arrive, they've pre-shared their information. and they can pass through biometric e-gates that have been pre-populated with their biometric template that they have shared by consent ahead of time. What this does is it allows for passengers to bring their own biometrics, BYOB. Not as exciting as the other BYOB, but bring your own biometrics for travel, making it faster to get to where you want to go on vacation. And we've done this following the ICAO DTC Type 1 specification from the International Civil Aviation Organization. This makes it possible to have a digital representation of your physical passport on your mobile device. And in this scenario, using a verifiable credential for passengers to securely share with the government ahead of time. So it's a government grade ID in action for customers to use. Another example for airlines, airlines wanting to provide a more efficient, seamless travel experience for their passengers. Using verifiable data or verified data is a way to do that. So with Indicio Proven and our mobile SDK, the ability to integrate the DTC capability and electronic travel authorization directly into airline apps. The beauty of having an SDK makes it so that our customers can integrate that credential capability directly into their existing applications so that travelers don't have to leave the airline app and can stay within the app and have that seamless experience. So with verifiable data, specifically with a digital travel credential, you can extend the benefits of that verified data beyond just the airport and throughout the whole travel ribbon. An example of this is for hotel check-in. Having a government grade trusted credential in a digital format, there's obviously a lot of value for a hotel to use that to onboard you as a customer or to check you in as a customer. You're probably familiar with this in your international business travel, where you go to the front desk, they take your passport, they have to scan it, they take it back into the room behind, and you don't really know where it goes. Not only does it take time, there are some privacy implications there that come into question. But using a DTC and the privacy preserving mechanisms that it enables is really an elegant way to solve the identity challenges of hotel check-in, to make it a more seamless experience, get you to your room, get you beyond the manual check-in process. Beyond that, it allows hotels to offer personalized experience. The ability for hotel guests to share their DTC ahead of time with a hotel so they can even skip the manual check-in. They're also sharing customer information with the hotel by consent, so they know, okay, this is a repeat traveler. We know that this traveler has certain preferences based on previous stays with us, for example. And we know they like to be greeted in this way, or they don't like to be greeted. They would prefer to go straight to their room. So it allows for a richer experience. Another benefit that we found is it can mitigate buyback fraud. There are a lot of cases where hotels have guests that come, they use their credit card, they take advantage of all the benefits of their hotel, and then they claim that they were never there. With a verifiable credential, the hotel can obviously prove that the customer was there and shared information by consent. Another area where verifiable credentials are being adopted is in the education space. So in recent months, the One EdTech Global Consortium, which is a education vendor standards body, has adopted Open Badges 3.0, which is based on the W3C verifiable credential data model. So it's a verifiable credential and has the benefits that the other verifiable credentials have in terms of authentication, portability, tamper resistance, and proof of source, for example. So this use case is pretty cut and dry and straightforward. The ability to prove that you truly did study at this university or that you did acquire these skills. So down at the micro credentialing level, that you're certified in this type of software, you took this type of cybersecurity certification course, you've been trained in CPR. You can really issue a badge for any type of skill or accomplishment. And open badges is a great verifiable credential style for those types. In education, there are other credentials that do have or do require higher levels of privacy preservation. So in the case of like student ID, um, being able to log into a university's secure systems. So education, there's obviously a lot of need for verifiable credentials, and we're seeing that in terms of adoption in learner management systems for students to receive badges for things they've studied, courses they've taken, as well as student ID for access purposes. Another exciting use case is for patient data. This one also, the implications are fairly obvious. There's a lot of identity, a lot of patient information, a lot of privacy considerations that healthcare organizations need to take into consideration. So verifiable credentials offer a nice way to handle those considerations, as well as give power back to the patients to consent to sharing data. Indicio Proven comes with machine readable governance capability or decentralized ecosystem governance. This mechanism makes it possible to set the policies by which the verifiable credential ecosystem will operate. It can also establish those governance policies and governance files down at the agent level, so for the credential issuers and the credential verifiers, and also setting the rules by which they operate. So for example, which issuing organizations are trusted, what information can be requested by the verifiers, as an example. So in a healthcare scenario, having that machine readable governance capability, makes it easier, or reduces the friction when sharing patient data. Here's another use case. This is an exciting one that we've done with our partners, Trust Alliance New Zealand, as well as Anonymy Labs. This was the digital farm wallet. This was a verifiable credential ecosystem for farms in New Zealand to create, share, and verify important data pertaining to their farms. So in the farming industry in New Zealand, there are quite a few regulations in terms of environmental impact the farm incurs, as well as animal welfare, certain standards that they have to uphold. And there's a lot of important farm data that they simply have to manage and report. That information can be sensitive, competitive information that where privacy preservation would be important. So the ability to share that information with relying parties in a privacy preserving way is important. And these credentials are used, for example, to prove to a third party auditor that you meet certain emissions standards, that you meet certain other regulatory compliance factors in order to qualify for farm subsidies from the government or from banks, also to have access to particular markets. So a lot of data being exchanged. Verifiable credentials, again, create an elegant way to transport that data in a way that the relying parties can know that it comes from a trusted source and that it's in its original format and is trustworthy information. So this reduces the burden on the farmers. It also reduces the burden on the relying parties consuming that information. So now we'll get more into the nuts and bolts of Indicio Proven and the benefits, how it works, and what it looks like, and how you can use it. So Indicio it's a flexible, feature-rich product that you can use for creating interoperable, privacy-preserving, decentralized identity ecosystems. It supports a wide range of verifiable credential types, and communication protocols so that depending on the requirements you have in your ecosystem, it's flexible in what it can support. But it really is a complete off-the-shelf solution with everything that you would need to start issuing, holding, and verifying credentials. Nice thing about it is that it can seamlessly integrate into existing systems or applications that you have. This is important because no enterprise wants to have to do a mass migration to a new system or rip and replace what they have. So by integrating into their existing infrastructure, it's a quicker way to get creating value with the system. As mentioned, it comes with all of the bits and pieces that you would need. It comes with a set of APIs. It comes with digital wallet and or an SDK if you need to integrate into an existing mobile application. It comes with the software agents needed to issue and verify credentials. The agents can be deployed on-prem or in a SaaS type model, depending on the needs of you or your customers. It also comes with the ability to create custom credentials and to manage those credentials. It comes with localization and dedicated support. And one thing that really sets us apart from others in the industry is the support and training packages that we offer. So we also offer Indicio Academy, which is a whole set of courses and certifications to train your project stakeholders on the value of the technology, how it works, how to set it up, how to get it going, how to maintain it, all the way from the basics of digital identity and decentralized identity to the marketing strategy and the sales strategy for when you deploy your product based on this technology. So not only do we offer the solutions, we offer the support and training that you need to really drive the success of your projects. Okay, so back to this diagram that we saw a little bit earlier. This is a high-level overview of Proven. So this is the high-level explanation of the software architecture underneath. So on the left, issuing agent, as mentioned, can be deployed on-prem or can be hosted and maintained by us. We provide the holder agents in the form of digital wallets, either on device or the ability to offer cloud-hosted wallet applications as well. And then on the verifier side, for relying parties to consume that, consume or to receive and to verify credentials, again, agents that can be deployed on-prem or SaaS or a cloud platform of choice. We can also provide mobile verifier applications. So, using, for example, a mobile device to verifiable credential, on the spot. There's a couple different ways that you can deploy the verifier agents. You can have it connected into, a physical kiosk on site, for example, at a border crossing or at a bank for, check-in. There could be biometrics involved as well on the verification side. But the software can be deployed in a flexible manner according to the needs of your customers. Down at the bottom, so the distributed ledger network, this is a form of verifiable data registry. In this case, a distributed ledger network is used because it brings the benefits that a distributed ledger offers. So that immutability aspect, the resiliency, the ability to offer that cryptographic trust from having distributed nodes that carry copies of the ledger documents. It's important to note that no private holder information would go on the ledger. This is simply where the decentralized identifiers of the issuing and verifying parties would be anchored, as well as other important information like the credential schemas or credential definitions. So when a verifier receives a credential, checking the ledger, cross-checking that the DID, or checking the DID, so the source, as well as that the credential schema matches with that which has been anchored on the ledger. So with Indicio Proven, you get all of this in a package. It's also very modular. So think of it as building blocks. As your ecosystem expands with different issuers, different verifiers, as well as a wide range of other wallets. Because Indicio Proven is built on open source technology and open standards, it's interoperable with other verifiable credential ecosystems. So if you have your own wallet already, but you simply need an issuer agent, that can be easily spun up. If you have an issuer agent, you have a wallet, you just need a verifier agent that comes with, you can just use the verifier agent. So very modular, very flexible in what you can do with it. We covered the governance, so the decentralized ecosystem governance mechanism, or DGov. Again, this is the policies and rules by which the ecosystem participants would operate. This module makes it easy for the for the governing bodies in your ecosystem to set those standards and distribute those by machine to the ecosystem participants to establish that extra level of trust. Because a credential really is only as good as the trustworthiness of its source. So I touched on the mobile wallet SDK a little bit, but just want to highlight that this makes it easy to integrate into applications that you have today. And we've found that this is popular with our customers. An easy way to get the code in one place to start giving this capability to their customers to start using those credentials. We also have a white label application UI. And the app also has the ability to provide document verification as well as liveness check. So this is important specifically when it comes to identity binding. So how do you know that the person holding the phone is who they say they are? And how do you know that the person accessing the credential on the phone is the person who owns the credential and the phone? So connecting the credential to the person through biometrics, through liveness detection, adds extra layers of security to make sure that there's trust in your verifiable credential ecosystem. So if you're interested in integrating this into existing applications, reach out. We're happy to talk on how you can get this started. As mentioned, the solutions we build are built with privacy by design methodology, specifically on the credential side with selective disclosure and zero knowledge proof capability. So for example, if you go to the gas station to buy dry ice, for example, here in the United States, you have to be 21 or older. So they require you to show your driver's license. So when you pull out your physical driver's license and you show it to someone, behind the counter, they're going to see your eye color as well. They're going to see your height. They're going to see your weight. They're going to see all sorts of information that they don't necessarily need to know. They simply need to know that you are older than 21. Well, the beauty with digital verifiable credentials is that you can selectively disclose information, or through zero knowledge proof mechanism, you can prove certain facts about yourself or your identity without having to reveal all of it. So there's obviously in the governance mechanisms in an ecosystem, rules would be established on what information needs to be presented, and how would the wallet interact with a verifier requesting this type of information. What would that consent flow look like from a user standpoint? So those mechanisms come as part of Indicio Proven and the modules included, and this is one of them. I touched on biometrics just a little bit, but this is important as biometrics are becoming increasingly popular in daily life. So airports, we're seeing them, for example. We're seeing it in banking and finance. Biometric identification is becoming more and more popular. But it's really the privacy and security of biometric solutions is really important. So the combination of verifiable credentials as the secure transport mechanism, along with biometrics, it really creates, again, an elegant solution for presenting the information that is most precious to you, your biometrics. So verifiable credentials allow for a way for users to do that um, uh, while protecting their information. So it reduces the need for centralized databases of biometric information. And that's something that's important for travelers as well as governing organizations who don't necessarily want to be dealing with that biometric information because it puts them at risk. So the way that we've designed Proven and the credentials within it can accommodate biometric capabilities as well. So when it comes to Indicio Proven and its compliance with global regulations and open standards and interoperability standards, this is something that's really important for us and our customers. We often get the question, what type of credentials should we offer? Should we offer an anon-cred? Should we offer an SD JOT? Should we offer a BBS Plus or a JSON LD? And our answer is, why not support all of them? There's not going to be any one type of credential or one protocol to rule them all. There are different regions, different jurisdictions that will require different things, different standards. And so we've designed Proven to accommodate those so that they can interoperate with those standards and with those jurisdictions. We don't want our customers to be limited or to be built on their own island. So by following those leading standards, we enable our customers to interact with those ecosystems. All right. Let's go ahead and open up to Q&A. I know I've talked a lot, but we'd love to hear if the audience has any questions or comments on what they've seen so far.
We actually have one question in the chat, James. Oh, two. A question from Jeff. Does the user have to download the Indicio wallet, or is your wallet embedded in an issuer's mobile app?
That's a great question. So it's flexible and it depends on the deployment. So some of our customers would just like to use an off-the-shelf app that's ready to go. So we have an application in the App Store called Holder Plus, which is a ready-to-go wallet that can be downloaded and used today to start using those credentials. But we have other customers who would prefer to have their own branded wallet, and they, if they have an existing application, they prefer to have it integrated into their existing app. There are some cases where they say, you know what, we don't necessarily need it integrated in our app, and we would just like to, use a generic app that's available out there, and we'll point them towards that wallet app that they can use, and that's what they do. So it really just depends, but it can do both. Mike, David, anything you guys want to add to that one there?
Yeah, just pick what you need. Standalone application that is ours and already there, one that's a standalone application and branded for you, or embed the functionality in an existing application. Those three options are all available.
Yep, great question.
Well, one more question. What's the difference between open badges and the protocol mentioned here, such as DIF and OpenID VC?
That sounds like a question for me. So there are a lot of different components that make a decentralized identity ecosystem work. And open badges is a particular flavor or variant of a credential format, how the data is stored, how it's signed and encrypted. There are other credential formats as well. And that's how the data is encoded. That's one piece. The other piece is the protocols, the methods by which the software shares that data from one piece of software to another. So if you think of the internet, we send web pages mostly over the using the HTTP protocol, Hypertext Transfer Protocol. And in the case of credentials, the two main protocols for transferring data are DIDCOM and OpenID Connect for VC. So using OpenID Connect for verifiable credentials. DIF is a standards body, the Decentralized Identity Foundation, and they have some specifications for some additional things like how you conduct a presentation, or the standards, what's the file format for sharing governance. So there are a standards body that helps define what the credential formats or the protocols or the other related standards are going to be. So hopefully that covers those are three major pieces: formats, transfer protocols, and standards.
Thanks, Mike. Any more questions? Feel free to drop them in the chat.
I think we had a question earlier that got lost in the chat or something like that. That was something along the lines of, what future applications do we see coming down the pipe for a decentralized identity? So maybe we'll start off with James, and if he misses any, then I can pitch in and see if I remember something that he didn't.
Yeah, yeah. So one thing that we're particularly excited about is adding an authentication capability into Proven. So being able to integrate verifiable credential capability into your existing authentication stack that you have. So there's some common ones like SAML or OAuth. So the ability to, for example, like log into your existing websites or your existing applications with a verifiable credential from your wallet, instead of having to use like the default, login and username. So we're really excited about this module. It makes it really easy for developers to integrate that capability in just in a matter of minutes directly into your system. So that's one that I'm particularly excited about.
There's some questions that just came up that relate to some of the other upcoming capabilities. So can we talk a bit about IDAS and the EU ID wallets? Are we compliant with IDAS 2.0? And then we can come back to the final question in a bit. So IDAS and EU ID wallets, those are specifications or profiles that are drawn up by the European governments that are collaborating together. And they've done some work to research the decentralized identity space and try to figure out, okay, what are the standards that we're going to follow? What's going to apply to European citizens? How are we going to utilize this transformational technology in a way that benefits European citizens? So they've gone through to do the research to find what they think are the best set of choices for that group of people. And they've been writing specifications and trying to pass the legislation that's required. And so there's some things that are becoming clear from those specifications where everyone's going to know what to do there. And there's some choices that are still in the works and have yet to be made. So saying that Indicio Proven is 100% compliant with IDAS standards right now, this very second, that's a kind of a moving target. It's hard to hit. But we are working on the underlying technologies that are obvious, such as being able to use OID 4VC or the credential types such as SD-JOT VCs that are going to be applicable there. And so, I don't know that anyone can say that they're fully compliant because the spec isn't finished yet, but we are committed to being able to work with that stack. Another complicating factor is that the legislation and the specifications apply to European citizens, and they say that the source of the data and the wallets must be from Europe. They've not really covered how are they going to interoperate with sending European data to countries and entities that are outside of Europe, or how to bring data in from the rest of the world into Europe. So some of those interoperability international concerns have not been fully sorted out yet. So because the wallets and the issuers of some of the key credentials will be European, and they have restrictions perhaps on who they share the data with, the best that a lot of entities can do, organizations can do, is to be compliant with the technology and then wait for the decisions on the legalities or the procedures that are involved in crossing those borders. So yeah, that's the long answer, but in short, we will be compliant. once the spec is finished, and we're most of the way there to the present state. Would you add anything to that, James?
Yeah, I just want to add in that, well, first, it's really exciting because, let's see, 2025, 2026, when they're looking to start rolling these out across some of those European countries, that's the beginning of a massive, citizen-centric verifiable credential ecosystem. And Europe has what, over 500 million citizens. So that's a massive ecosystem, waiting to happen. So the ability for us to provide that capability to ingest those credentials, to hold those credentials, to verify those credentials for our customers, or for our customers to be able to do that with those credentials and wallet holders, is really important. So yeah, absolutely.
And it's going to be very influential as well. We work with a number of countries and organizations around the world, and many of them are looking to the European example for how to structure things for themselves. And so, you look at India and some of the Asian countries, and you quickly add, to that 500 million, there's, over 1 billion Indians, and then the several 100 million other Asians. We'll see what China chooses to do, but so yeah, it's very influential.
Mhm. And just thinking of the business value that will be unlocked for those countries that are opting to use verifiable credentials, it's a really, really exciting opportunity, and there's a lot of eyes watching it. Absolutely.
All right. Another question here was, can you talk about authentication capabilities? Okay, this is a fun topic. There's authentication and there's authorization, and they often go hand in hand. Basically, the idea behind authentication and authorization is you need to figure out if someone is who they say they are, and you have to figure out what is it that they're allowed to do based on who they are, and what kind of capabilities or roles have been assigned to them. The reason that credentials are such a good match for this is that if you do the work the right way to set up a credential for figuring out who someone is, we demonstrated a case where we brought in driver's license data. Some of our travel use cases, we have worked with passports. There's technology for making sure that someone is a live human with a liveness check, so that it's not an AI or a bot. You can go through some fairly rigorous steps of figuring out that this is a human and that they're the right human that you're thinking of, and issue that into a credential format and have a technology that says we can pass along the work that we did to make sure that this is the right person. We can share that down the road. And so you already have corporate policies for figuring out who an employee is and signing them up, et cetera. Once you've done the work to figure out who someone is and you give them a way to show that, often the way to do that is with like a username and a password, or you email them a code, or you text them a link. And you're counting on the fact that only the right person knows the username and password, or only the right person's holding the phone or has control of that email address in order to prove that it's them. Well, if you have a wallet that contains a verifiable credential, and that wallet is protected by a passcode or biometrics, then you can be sure that the same person who opened the wallet to get the credential is going to be the same person who opens the wallet to use the credential later. And you can present the credential that says, here's the data about this individual that shows that they are the right one. And you can use that in the authentication system to look up, the matching account. So if I have an employee credential, for example, you can share that and say, okay, here's the employee credential has their name, has their date of hire, it has their ID number, and we can pass that in a secure fashion. And to the backend can say, okay, based on this employee ID, or maybe it could contain the username, we're going to look up their username, and we've now proven that this is that person without relying on some of the clumsier methods. It's a very convenient way to say, scan a QR code and hit the share button, and then so you don't have to think about what's my username or password. You don't have to switch between different applications to go out to your authenticator app or open your email or your text message to go get some other code or whatever, to have things show up and be, to prove that it's you. Once you've proven that it's you, the credentials often contain information about, an employee credential contain information about, well, which department do I work for? What's my job title? How senior am I? Who do I report to? And with those kind of bits of information, you can use authorization rules to look up and say, well, if he belongs to this group, then he should have these permissions in this system. And because he's got this job title, he has these other permissions in this other system. And because he reports to this person, he should have access to this data. So you can work out authorization based on those secure connections and those credentials as well. Okay, looks like we've got time for one more question, and we have one more question to answer. Can anyone who wish to verify a credential download a verifier agent? So we have, there are basically two major styles of verifiers. We have server-based verifiers, where you can download and install the software for that and configure it to verify the credentials that you want to verify. There are open source applications for that. And we also, and Proven provides that verification capability on a server. So that's technically anyone could download and use that. As far as a mobile verifier, we have done purpose-built verifiers that say we're going to verify a particular credential in a particular ecosystem. The usability for making a generic verifier that works on mobile is a little trickier. We are working on that, but it is technically possible. So basically, so there are some ways to do it now, and there will be even more ways to do that in the future.
All right, I think that's about all the time we had for Q&A. But David, I'll hand it over to you to go ahead and close this out.
Absolutely. So first of all, I want to thank everyone for joining. It's been a pleasure and look forward to more to come. If you have a moment, take your phones out and scan this QR code. You'll be able to sync up with James or myself if you have more questions or you want to learn more.
Awesome. Thank you everyone for joining.
Thanks, everybody. See you next time.
See ya.